Hello everyone. So today we're going to be doing an experiment. And the experiment is, can I read, or in this case reread, all 31 volumes of Slam Dunk in 24 hours? So I've done challenges like this before where I try to read for 12 hours. I used to do reading vlogs where I would read for 12 hours straight and then talk about all the things I read. I've also tried to do a 24-hour challenge. That did not work very well because I got tired and I went to sleep. So this one I'm kind of combining those two things. So I have this timer here. So I'm going to just keep track of the time I'm spending not sleeping. And then that will be my designated reading time to hopefully read all of Slam Dunk. Honestly, this shouldn't be too hard. The only difficult part is going to be making sure I stay concentrated on reading manga, not sitting on my phone or something. But actually, like, reading all of Slam Dunk in 24 hours, I think it's going to be fine because those last couple volumes go by really, really quickly. So in terms of this video, I'm going to try to figure out how I make it interesting because I don't think it's going to be that fun for me to just go, hey, I've read 10 volumes. It's this amount of time. Let's move on. But I also don't want to spend any time going anywhere else because that would defeat the purpose of spending the time reading the manga. But anyway, yeah, I've been wanting to reread Slam Dunk again for like a whole year. Ever since I last reread it, which was in January of last year, I wanted to read it again. And I figured this would be a great way to make it like a fun experiment type thing. But yeah, I'm going to stop wasting the daylight and go ahead and jump right in. It's also kind of hot outside, so I might go read outside, but it might be too hot for me to do that. But yes, I will show you I'm starting the timer now though. Here you go. There we go. Okay, here's where the timer's at. And I have read the first volume of Slam Dunk. I almost dropped it on the floor. So I'm going to give you a brief summary of this first volume and kind of the premise of the series. So our main character, right on the front, is Hanamichi Sakuragi. He is a first year in high school. He just got to this new high school, and he has a history of getting rejected by girls. And so he meets this girl in his new high school, instantly falls in love with her, and she really likes basketball. So he becomes interested in basketball just because she really likes basketball. And she is in love with this other guy who becomes Hanamichi's rival. So that inspires him more to get good at basketball or get on the basketball team so that he can impress the girl that he likes. So in my experience as someone who is a fan of sports anime and manga, it seems that there are two kinds of sports manga protagonists. The first one is someone like Hinata from Haikyuu. So they're not really someone who would normally be very talented in that sport. So Hinata is really short, and usually people who play volleyball are not that short. But he is really passionate about the sports. So that's one type of sports manga protagonist. The other type is like Hanamichi, where he is physically strong. So theoretically, he'd be very good at basketball. He's tall, he's fast, all that. But he's not actually interested in it. He doesn't know anything about basketball. He doesn't know that you have to dribble the ball. He doesn't know what a slam dunk is. He doesn't know anything about basketball. But he has the potential to be good at it because of his physical size and stuff like that. So those are my observations of sports manga protagonists. And I don't prefer one over the other. They're both fine, but Hanamichi is the latter. So anyway, in this first volume, he tries out for the basketball team because he wants to impress this girl. And then he finds out that the captain of the basketball team is also this girl's brother. So that complicates things. And it goes on from there. Basically, what I want to talk about with this volume, or the beginning parts of the series, well, the entire series, but this manga is so funny. Like, there's lots of comedy elements in sports manga and shonen manga in general, but this one is just constantly making me laugh all the time. Just laugh out loud. And it helps that I've seen a couple episodes of the anime, so I have the kind of sound effects to tie to the manga. But either way, you can really feel the main character. His personality is right out there for you to see. And usually when I read manga, just in general, the main character is never my favorite character in a manga, ever. But in Slam Dunk, Hanamichi is my favorite character. So in this first volume, we're introduced to some other main characters. His rival, Rukawa. I always like a good rival dynamic, and that one is really good in this manga as well. And then the captain of the basketball team, we see some other side characters, and we'll be introduced to more of the team as we go on. It's also kind of funny reading this because there's an element of like delinquents that's really present in a lot of manga, but it used to be a really popular thing. I don't think it's as popular right now to include that in your manga, but it is kind of interesting to see that because Hanamichi's kind of a delinquent. He has his gang of friends that are all delinquents, but they're all really supportive of him, and he gets in trouble because he's fighting people all the time. Anyway, now I'm wasting time talking about this first volume too much, but I'm not going to do updates volume by volume like this. I just wanted to start by talking about this first volume and how it introduces the characters and the concept and stuff like that. Okay, here's what the timer is at now. If you can see, almost 5 hours into this. I just realized I should have set the timer to 24 hours and had it count down instead of counting up, but that was a mistake I made 5 hours ago now, so I can't fix it. I decided to come sit in the car just for a kind of change of scenery, so I'm not just sitting in the same place every time updating you guys. I tried to sit outside and read. It's way too hot for me. I can't do it. So at this point, I feel like I'm kind of running a little bit late already. Not because I don't have time to read the volumes, just because, I don't know, I think mathematically it still makes sense, but not really. Anyway, so I'm finished with reading volume 6. I'm through volume 6. So far we've spent some time getting to know the main cast or the team that we're going to be following. And also where I've read, we just got finished with a practice match that's basically introducing one of the main teams that's going to be a rival team for the main cast of Shohoku. So if you've read any sports manga before, watched any sports anime before, this is something that most of them do. They'll introduce a team that's sort of a rival team for the main team, usually in a practice match. That's where they're introduced. The same thing happens in Haikyuu. And I want to take this time to point out that if you like Haikyuu and you haven't read Slam Dunk, you're gonna love Slam Dunk. I feel like there's a lot of comparison going on between Slam Dunk and Haikyuu. People are trying to say, oh, this one's better than this one, blah, 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 blah. One came before the other one, and Slam Dunk obviously influenced Haikyuu a lot, but I don't think we need to be comparing them like that. They're both fantastic series. They do have lots of similarities, but if you like something in one of the series, you're probably gonna like the same thing in the other series. They're very similar. And so when I say lots of sports manga, I mostly just mean Haikyuu, because that's the big one that most people know about right now. But there are tropes and stuff that happen in pretty much every sports manga of this type, where we're actually following a team as they try to win and get better or whatever. There are some sports manga that are different, sports anime that are different, that don't really follow this kind of story. But when I say like sports manga, usually I'm talking about this, where we're following one team as they try to go up in a tournament or whatever. Anyway, so what I want to say about this practice match is that this is the first time we see Sakuragi actually enjoying basketball, wanting to play basketball because he enjoys the sport or the act of playing basketball, and not just because he's trying to impress the girl that he likes. This is kind of the first instance of him actually enjoying the sport for himself, and he wants to keep playing for himself. He doesn't say that, but it's pretty obvious once you're paying attention that that's what's happening here. Anyway, so that's the big thing about this first practice match, where we're introduced to a rival team or whatever. Not only does it introduce villains of the story, they're not villains, but they're antagonists, but it also develops the main character and his goals. But yeah, I'll come back later and update you when I've read some more and I have more thoughts to share. Okay, we're back to really bad lighting. At this point, little over 10 hours have passed, and I have read through volume 16 of the series. So I'm halfway through. I have plenty of time left. I'm not really worried about the challenge parts of this video idea, but I do have more to talk about. So volume 15, I feel like is kind of the turning point in the series. So it goes from a really good series to an amazing series at volume 15. It might not seem obvious at first, but that's definitely where the turning point in the series is. So normally my favorite part of a sports manga is seeing the entire team develop together and seeing all the different characters and how they're all special to the team, important to the team, how they all get better and progress, seeing their backstories, all that stuff. The team basically is my favorite part of a sports manga usually. And that is definitely true in Slam Dunk. The team is amazing. I love all the teammates. I love the background characters, all the characters. I love them. However, I feel like Slam Dunk is really about Hanamichi and his story and how he comes to love basketball. And it's kind of almost poetic to read the little introductions in the beginning of the volumes that are done by the author, Takiko Inoue. He talks about how much he loves basketball, how he does basketball, he plays basketball, he's getting better at basketball, he's getting worse at basketball, but also just his desire to have Japan enjoy basketball as much as he does. He wants to share his love of basketball with everyone. And you can definitely see that in this manga, and also in the growth of Hanamichi. So he learns to love basketball just as much as the reader learns to love basketball. Maybe. That's how I feel. I've always liked basketball. I used to play basketball when I was a kid. But the love of basketball, even if the reader personally doesn't love basketball, you can feel the love of the sport in this manga. I've said that before. I'll say it a million times because you can literally feel it. And I don't have that same feeling with most of the sports manga I read. Yes, there's some kind of passion involved there. Some kind of love of the sport is present there, but I don't feel it nearly as strongly as I do in Slam Dunk. And that's definitely a reflection of Takiko Inoue's writing. Anyway, so that's where I'm at so far. I'm really enjoying my reread of this. I feel like this was not the best format to reread this if I actually wanted to spend a lot of time thinking. And I mean, I am thinking about it, obviously. I have lots of thoughts to share, but I am kind of rushing through it a little bit, which is not how... I mean, Slam Dunk is a really easy read. It's a really fast read. I've read it before in like 3 days. But this format of trying to read it in 24 hours is probably not the best way to read it. But I've read it 2 times before, so I can read it a 3rd time like this. But anyway, I think I'm going to stop reading for now. I'm halfway through the series. I can finish the rest in the next 12 hours or so. I have 14 hours left. It should be really easy. And the second half of the series goes by way faster than the first part of the series. Not that the first half was even slow paced. It's just the second half is so fast paced. I haven't even talked about the art yet. I'll probably talk about the art in the series later because Takiko Inoue, he can draw. But I think I want to show some panels for that maybe, so I'll talk about that later. But that's where I'm at right now, so I'm probably going to stop for today, get some sleep, and then I'll read some more tomorrow. The timer will start immediately right after I wake up. You're just gonna have to trust me on that. I promise I'm doing the timer fairly. Like I said, it's not really a challenge. I could feasibly read all these volumes in 24 hours. It's just making sure I don't sit on my phone. That's all it's doing. Okay, it's the next day, and I just went ahead and finished the series right here. So I read all 31 volumes. I was going to update you again, kind of in the middle of reading all these, but I just didn't want to stop reading, so I just read the whole thing. So this is where my timer's at. You can see 21 hours, 26 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and stop it. And there we go. That's the final time. I did waste some time today, but the last half of the manga, definitely last arc, I would say, it goes by really, really quickly. Like really, really, really quickly. And part of the reason why the manga goes so quickly towards the end is because of the art. Takiko Inoue really shows his talent of storytelling without using very much dialogue at all. The last couple of volumes, it takes like 10 minutes to read because it's mostly just the art telling the story. And that is my favorite thing about sports manga. When you are so invested in the story that's being told, the game that's being played, the characters, that you don't need dialogue. You're just watching the action play out as if it was an actual game. And I just love that about sports manga. It's just so immersive and it makes you feel so much for the characters and the action that's going on. It's just great. I really enjoy it. So I want to show you some art that Takiko Inoue does, but I don't want to show you the art in the end of the manga because obviously that'd be spoilers. So instead, I have one of my Slam Dunk art books. This is the smaller one because the other one is huge and would be difficult to show on camera. But I want to show you Takiko Inoue's art because it's really pretty. So here's a color spread. And the problem with these Shonen Jump manga, these Viz volumes, is you're not going to see the color pages. And there are some chapters that are entirely in color, and you just can't see the color in these cheap volumes, which is fine. But that's why I have these art books, because then I can actually fully appreciate Takiko Inoue's art and his color pages. Here's another great one, if you can see it. Okay, I think the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to Slam Dunk, because I've talked about everything else so far in this video, I do want to talk about the ending. Without spoiling anything, I do know that there are a couple people out there, and this is going to happen because people have different opinions. There are a couple people out there who are disappointed in the ending of Slam Dunk. And to that I say, you are entitled to your opinion, but I could not disagree more, because in my opinion, Slam Dunk has the best ending of any manga I've ever read, I'm pretty sure, and definitely any sports manga. There's been some very, very good sports manga endings, but I don't think you can get as perfect of an ending as Slam Dunk has. I'm not sure it could happen again. And like I said, I'm not going to spoil why or anything, but I do think that the ending of this manga is very realistic. It feels like something I've watched as a person who enjoys sports. I don't really watch basketball, but I watch a lot of football. This feels like something that could happen. So anyway, let's just briefly go over my favorite things about Slam Dunk and why it's my second favorite manga of all time. If you include only completed manga, it is my favorite manga series of all time. But the three main reasons are, one, the main character. I love Hanamichi Sakuragi. Just watching him fall in love with basketball, even if he didn't want to play basketball for any real reason. He didn't have a passion for basketball, but he learns to love basketball. I really love that. Second is the art. Normally, I appreciate good art, but I feel like Takiko Inoue's art really tells the story by itself. He doesn't really need dialogue, even though he has great dialogue moments as well, but the art really tells the story, and that's really important in a sports manga. And then the ending just wraps everything up pretty much perfectly. It doesn't overstay its welcome, it doesn't go too long, but it also doesn't feel like it's cut off too early or anything like that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed me talking about Slam Dunk. I know that the volumes are a little bit difficult to find right now because they're out of stock for a long time. I'm not sure how much Viz prioritizes reprinting Slam Dunk. I feel bad for everyone who can't get their volumes. I've had my volumes for years. But I do hope eventually everyone is able to try Slam Dunk, and I hope you enjoy it if you try it. And anyway, let me know what you thought of the challenge part of this video. It wasn't really a challenge, obviously. I could very easily read 31 volumes of Slam Dunk in 24 hours as long as I stayed focused. But I felt like I wanted to do this with one series, and I felt like it made sense for me to pick one that I really love, that I've read 3 times before. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this video is not too boring. I know I just kind of sat here and talked about one series over and over again, but I didn't want to really focus on anything other than the manga. But yeah, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!